Hello, today we're going to talk about the introduction and Project 1. So let's get started. First off, you can access the projects by going to two different places. You can go to the project's information here on the toolbar in Blackboard, or you can also access it by going to the online homework and clicking on the specific week that refers to the homework. Once you get into the project folder, you want to go to Project 1 Essay. That's where we'll be starting today. Notice that you do have the guidelines handout, and that will open in a new page for you so that you can view it at any time. You also have a brainstorming handout for Project 1 and 2. I do want you to complete the brainstorming handout. That's because it helps me know what you know and what needs to be cited and not cited. So as you do your intro to Project 1, you'll simply attach your brainstorming sheet. One of the things I want on your brainstorming sheet is dates. If you know dates of anything that happened with your topic, when it started, who's connected, when they were born, those kinds of things, major dates such as when the epidemic really became full-blown, scientific research, those kinds of things, the dates that go with those kinds of things, that's what I need to know. Those are red flags for professor. Dates, numbers, statistics. Those are usually what need to be cited. You also have a reading about writing a thesis and organizing an argument. There are plenty of student examples, and we're going to look at those in a minute. Please review the peer workshopping handout on Project 1. Now, with Project 1, I'm actually your peer workshopper. I'll work closely with you one-on-one to make sure your introduction is where it needs to be. You'll refine that until you get the 100 on the project. So with Project 1, the introduction part of it, there is no need to get a peer workshopper. Once you move into the history and further on, then you'll be actually doing the peer workshopping with either peers or the Speaking, Reading, and Writing Center. As we move forward, if you have questions about that, please let me know. Also take a look at the scoring rubric. It'll tell you exactly what I'm looking for. However, remember that on just the intro, you'll get a separate grade, which will be 100, which will then let you move forward to the history portion. Most people have trouble with commas, so you're going to see the grammar help with the comma patterns. Please review those so that you understand that each sentence has a pattern. All you have to do if you're having trouble with the commas, find the pattern, follow the sentence pattern. You also see 2 or 3 videos there. You can watch those if needed or as needed. If you need more information, it's there. And at any time, please feel free to contact me. All right, so let's look at Project 1. Project 1 is about 4 pages. If you're writing 3, then you're going to have to make that up somewhere else on Project 2. So adjust accordingly with that. Try to hit your close to 4-page count there. That does not include any cover sheet, which I do not need for the project. And it does not include a works cited page. So we're talking about 4 pages of text. Okay? 4 pages of text. Introductions are very formulaic. They have a pattern. They all include the same things. We need what your topic is, the social issue that you'll be using to write about. Your hook, something that's going to pull that reader in. Make your essay stand out and say, read me now. So we want to pull that reader in. Some people use a question, a statistic, a quote, something shocking, such as a visual sentence that can shock the reader into thinking about it. So we'll be looking at hooks in a minute. Why your audience should care about the topic or how it might affect your audience. An argumentative statement. For us, that's pretty much, can the epidemic come back? Or will the epidemic continue? Or will the epidemic continue to wreak havoc or cause death? Or something that you can argue yes or no for there. Is other information needed? Now, whatever topic you pick, your audience may or may not have background knowledge. Remember that your essays are going on a blog spot that's international. Do the people in China or Brazil or New Zealand, do they know what your topic is and why it is a problem here for us? So be sure that you give the reader enough information, not too much, but just enough to get them going, whet their appetite, and say, yeah, I want to read more about this. Okay. Now, we're going to come back to this, Project 1, but let's just do a quick overview of the other two pieces here. Other several pieces that make up the rest of the Project 1. You'll get a separate grade on the intro. Once that's done, you're ready to move forward. So, Project 1 includes the history, social effects, and then examples. History. What's the timeline of your epidemic? Make it interesting. Don't just give me, in 1805 this happened, then in 1806 this happened, then in 1807. Make it an interesting piece. Read the models. Look at some of the examples. Remember that there are tons of examples as well on the website. Social effects. What is the effect of your topic upon society? Try to use 2 or more of these. If you start with town, then go down to state, nation, or world. If you do inner circle, then choose one of the others as well. You don't have to address each issue or each society there, but try to do 1 or 2. Examples, 2 or 3 of the epidemic. Now, make this academic scholarly research. You can use Google Scholar. You can use the library. You can use PBS. You can use government documents and archives, as well as Smithsonian, National Geographic, Scientific Magazine, anything that appears to be good and scholarly that is very reputable. So make note of the examples, 2 or 3 of those. Now, sometimes people like to put the examples under the social effects. If you're doing that, make sure you give me that lead-in sentence that lets me know an example of this is. Or, you know, here's an example of the epidemic as it happened in a small town, okay, or a city. So make sure, if you're going to do it that way, that I understand exactly what's going on there. Also, when we look at the examples, you'll see that they'll be labeled. Now, Project 2 will be talked at a later date, but notice that we'll be working with solutions, Camus and absurdity, how Camus' beliefs relate to your topic, and then your conclusion. Your QEP project follows this identical format with the exception of Camus. We're going to take Camus out of it, so you can just cross off number 5 for your oral presentation. Everything else on the oral presentation follows right along with your essay there. Okay, all right, so I believe we're ready to take a look at introductions. Now that we've got an overview of the topic, I'm going to stop here. Please follow up with the introduction lecture. Thank you, and as always, if you have any questions, please feel free to contact me.